Hi, I'm Chen-Hua Su. This is the third day of learning GRE vocabulary with movie, and today we are still going to introduce some words about personality, and the topic today is picky and demanding. The first word we have here is acerbic. The root acerbic means sour, so this word has the meaning in acid in temper, mood, or tone, especially speech or manner. And you can say that if a person's speech is very harsh and sharp, then it is acerbic. For example, an acerbic remark tone, just like the movies, that the boss, Meryl Streep, always present a very condescending attitude toward Anne Hathaway. And acerbity is the noun form of acerbic. The next one we have is acrid and acrimony. Acrimony is also the noun form. So no matter acid, acrid, and acrid or acute, all means sour and sharp. So acrid means very sharp and harsh and picky and demanding. So you can say an acrimonious meeting, an acrimonious discussion, an acrimonious atmosphere. So the first two, meeting and discussions, are something very concrete, and the third one is quite abstract. So acrid can use both in abstract and concrete nouns. And the next one we have is caustic. This word has the root caust, which means burn. So you can think that an incisive sarcasm has burned your mind, which means it is very picky and demanding. And the word, this one we have is caustic, C-A-U-S-T-I-C. The next one we have is a very common word we saw in no matter in SAT or GRE, demand and demanding. Demand means an act of demanding or asking, especially with authority. The authority lies behind the one who make the comments, like the movie we have here. And demanding means requiring much time, effort, or attention, which means you have to be very precise in doing what your boss taught you. So she is very exacting. This word is also a synonym of demanding. Okay, exacting means trying or unremittingly severe in making demands. Unremittingly means unstopping or incessantly, which means you keep doing something to ask others to do what you want them to do. So exacting is also the synonym of picky and demanding. Next one is finicky, which means extremely or excessively particular, exacting, or meticulous in taste or standards. So if you have a very picky mouse, then there's a guy. That means there's a finicky eater in your house. The next one is pungent. We are going to discuss these four words: pungent, piquant, poignant, racy, later, and compare and contrast them. All of them mean sharp and stimulating to the mind or to the sense. The next one is rigor. Most of the times we know rigor means rigidity and stiffness. You can think that if you live a life of rigidity and stiffness, then you don't have a lot of leniency in your life or recreation in your life, which means you live in a state of austerity, strictness, and severity. Therefore, you are very stringent to yourself. Therefore, rigor also means picky and demanding. The next one is scathing. Scathing means bitterly severe. The root scath means to harm. So you are harming yourself, which means you are doing something severe to yourself. So here we can say that a scathing condemnation from the boss. The next one is stringent. String means tighten. So if something is marked by rigor, strictness, or severity, especially with regard to rule or standard, then it is very stringent. Just like the judge always follow the rules of law, then he is very stringent to the principle of this rule. And on the contrary, if he is not very stringent to the rules and demand a lot or do whatever he wants from his mind, then he is very not so stringent and he may be very lenient. For example, lenient in punishment. The next one is mordant, which means incisive and burning and pungent. Incisive means impressively direct and decisive. For example, a mordant wit. Wit is the same as wise. And burning and pungent has the synonym caustic, we just saw in the former PowerPoint. The next one is nipping. You can remember these things by nitpicking, which both means sharp and picky and demanding. But nipping has another usage, which means chilling. So you can see that there's an example like here, a nipping wind. Just think of a nipping wind, make you very sharp, make the atmosphere very harsh. The next one is tart. This is not the pie we eat every day right now. The adjective form of tart means agreeable, sharp, or acid to the taste. For example, a tart apple. You can also say a tart tart. The second meaning is that marked by a biting, acrimonious, or cutting quality. For example, a tart rejoinder. Okay, the next one, vinegared, which means flavored or marinated with vinegar. Vinegar is a food that is very sour, so you can think that something very sour is very acid and acrimonious, therefore it is picky and demanding. The next word we have is vitriolic, which means something felt to resemble vitriol, especially in caustic quality. Vitriol is a chemical substance that smells very sour. So here we can say that virulence of feeling or of speech. So here we use this word to describe something about words and argument. That means that is very picky and demanding. Okay, the next one is waspish. Sorry, I have to say that vitriolic is more like acrimonious. Okay, and caustic. Picky and demanding is more like something you want them to behave in particular way. But vitriolic means more in something is very harsh and very strict or very acrimonious. Okay, the next one is waspish. So we know there's Ant-Man and the Wasp. So if you're resembling a wasp in behavior, then it means you are very snappish and petulant. Both these two weird words has the common denominator, which means irritable. So if you are a very irritable person, then you can be called waspish. The next one is captious. This has the same meanings as critical, and the two meanings are very different, but we can see some relationship between them. But the first meaning means marked by an often ill-natured inclination to stress faults and raise objections. So here, no matter stressing the faults or raising objections, we can both use captious. Next one is calculate, to confuse, entrap, or entangle in argument. So you can say you raise a captious question. The root cap means take hold and see. You can think of if you are taken by others' argument, then you have to stress their thoughts and raise objections to find the weird logical reasoning. Then you can remember this word captious by picky and demanding meaning. The next one is carp. Maybe carpire means to slander and revile, which means using very bad words to hurt someone. So if you want to find fault or complain querulously to someone or with someone, then you can use the word carp. You can think that carpenters are using something very sharp to shape the wood, and you can use something very sharp to carp the argument or hurt someone. The next one is cavil. Cavil means to raise trivial objections to. So you can remember this word with captious. The next one is fastidious. This has three meanings. All of them are very important. The first one is having high and often capricious standards. Capricious means change very often, so you cannot predict, and it's very unpredictable. Therefore, if someone is very hard to hard to please, then you can use the word fastidious. So this word has the meaning of picky and demanding. The next one is showing or demanding excessively delicacy or care, just like what Anne Hathaway performed in the movie to her boss rather than her demanding commands to her, because she takes care of all aspects of her life, just like sending the Harry Potter books to her twin daughters. The third meaning of fastidious means reflecting a meticulous, sensitive, or demanding attitude. For example, we can say that a fastidious workmanship, just like Anne Hathaway in the movie. The next one is fault finder. Just change the arrangement of the word. You can see that this is someone who likes to find the fault. So he is very picky and demanding. The next word is fuzzy. These words come from the nouns fuzz, which means agitation, especially over a very trivial matter. So if you are a very fuzzy person, then you are easily irritated, which means you are irritable, fastidious, and picky. And the difference between this word and other picky and demanding synonyms is that this also has the meaning of overly decorative. You can think that if something is overly decorative, then it must be someone who is very picky and demanding who behind this decoration. For example, a fuzzy wallpaper pattern. The next one is nitpick. So this word we already talked about it, which means picky. The next one is persnickety. This has the same meaning as fastidious, which means requiring great precision, and nicety. Nicety is the same word as precision. So you can say that a persnickety job, which means it demands a lot of precision and nicety. Okay, I think this word has a root in something like something very sharp or very nice. Nice means very sharp too. And okay, the next one is quibble. This word has a lot to do with argument and debate. So quibus is the dative and ablative plural of Latin qui, means who and what. Okay, so this word has two meanings too. The first one is to evade the point of argument by cavilling about words. For example, if someone is equivocating some terms, then you maybe have a red herring argument, which will lead you to a wrong conclusion, and you don't know how to strengthen or weaken the argument, or finding the assumptions. The next one is cavial and carp and beaker. So the difference here is it has the meaning of beaker, which means slander or using very strong words to hurt someone. The next one, we are going to compare and contrast these four similar words: demand, claim, require, and exact. All of them mean to ask or call for something as due or as necessary, which means ask someone to do something in your way. The first one is demand. This word stress peremptoriness, and insistence, and often the right to make requests that are to be regarded as commands. So we can have an example like demanded payment of the debt. So the landlord may ask you to perform your rent payment at the due date of the month. Okay, the next one is claim. This word implies a demand for the delivery or concession of something due as one's own or one's right. So we have to stress the right, this part, because this is a legal right. You can say that claiming the right to manage his own affairs. So this is a very useful word when having an argument with someone who don't know the law. And the next one is require. This word suggests the imperativeness that arises from inner necessity, compulsion of law or regulation, or the exigencies of the situation. Something like that is very inevitable. For example, the patient requires constant attention by the method. This may be prescribed by medical doctor that he cannot violate this prescription. The next one is exact, which means implies not only demanding but getting what one demands. So these words we can have an example like exact absolute loyalty. Okay, so the next 4 words we are going to compare and contrast are pungent, piquant, poignant, and racy. All these words mean sharp and stimulating to the mind or the senses. You will still remember some words about senses like acrimonious or caustic, okay, or vinegar. We just talked that in the former PowerPoint. Okay, the first one is pungent, which implies a sharp, stinging, or biting quality, especially of odors. So if you smell something really bad, you can say there's a cheese with a pungent odor. The next one is piquant, which suggests a power to whet the appetite or interesting through tartness or mild. Pungency, for example, a pungent sauce that stirs your appetite. Next one is poignant. This word suggests something is sharply or piercingly effective in stirring one's emotions. Piercingly means penetrating, means go through your heart. So if you have something stirring your emotion, you can say that you feel a poignant sense of loss when you are melancholy or when you are in depression. The next one is racy. This word implies having a strongly characteristic natural quality fresh and unimpaired, which is very natural and pure and pristine. So you can say example something like spontaneous and racy prose. Prose is is something like article or something like essays in literature, but they are quite different. Prose is more like a poem, I think. Is that no, sorry, it's not. It's more like article and essay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your patience and listening. I know I'm a non-native speaker, but I try my best to make you remember these words and their differences. Thank you for listening, and I will keep trying and doing better video next time.